A lot of heat has been generated ever since the list has been drawn by the government. Of course, the government has a tough job, but at the same time, a mandate. Nation like ours, of billions of people, cannot wait for long to create institutions of eminence. After all, we belong to a nation which has understood the value and worth of eminence way ahead. We provided to the world, for example, the numerics, the numbers. These magical numbers are still the foundation of digital society. We provided to the world the musical notes, which are still the foundation of the music around the world, whether it is Oriental or Occidental. We provided great many thoughts of eminence to the world, and of course, in terms of science and technology, India must have at that time held the torch like the advanced nations have today in the respect of modern science and technology. The question is, how do I create institutions of eminence right now in my country and start using them to provide the youngsters a platform, a framework of knowledge where they go beyond knowledge. They start thinking that they can cultivate new knowledge, they can translate knowledge, they can translate knowledge into new product and new innovations and become a major support for the growth of tomorrow's knowledge society. This was the context in which the institution of eminence were thought about. The government must have done its homework. I have no reason to suspect their integrity and authority in this respect. But really speaking, it appears to me the government want to please everybody. It want to please the government institutions, they also want to please the private operators. In turn, they have picked up maybe an institution like Jio, which has raised so much of controversy. Let me put before you a thought that might perhaps give us a reason to understand why Jio has been brought in. There is something called design for excellence. Excellence otherwise is seen to be emerging over a period of time through people's perception, through people's rating, through world at large accepting it to be a piece of eminence or excellence. It takes time. This is what we generally believe. But there is something called design for excellence. For example, Taj Mahal was designed for excellence. It did not wait for the world authority, world people to come and see and then say, wow. From the day one, it was a piece of eminence because it was designed for excellence. It was implemented the way it was designed. And therefore, from the day one, it becomes a piece of excellence. Institute like Jio, if they are configured around the concept of design for excellence, then they could even march ahead of the IITs even from the day one, if they wish to. When I set up Delhi Technological University, they asked me why you want to do Delhi Technological University. I said I want to go beyond IITs because I will exploit what I call advantage new. Advantage new gives you to configure your institution in a manner that you do not run into those problems in which earlier institutions have gone through, and you start designing on the road of excellence right from the day one, and therefore you would go beyond the institutions which you have already mapped, whose strength, weaknesses and opportunity you have already worked out, and you can put together in fact an institution which can march ahead, not in all areas, but in areas in which the conventional institutions have been lagging behind. You can pick up those areas and go behind. For example, if the Jio Institute want that its pharmaceutical department should come out with novel drug design and drug discovery system based on the natural products and medicines, it can mesmerize even the very best institutions in pharmacy. It can give a change to the IITs in areas of information technology if it so desires. It can certainly go straight away to the business at the speed of thought rather than business at the speed of 10 gigahertz or 100 gigahertz as of today, which IITs may be struggling with. But then it has to engage seriously into providing a framework of knowledge cultivation where you start going beyond the status quo from the day one. You ask, how can business at the speed of thought can be transacted? Can I design communication systems that will be driven at the speed of thought, which means mind-to-mind connectivity? This would involve tremendous amount of interface with the computer for machine learning, and we'll have to really think of ways of computing as well as networking so that such a system could be put together. The younger generation is in a position to do that because they have understood a lot about neural systems and they have understood how neural networks really communicate with each other. But you have to put right from the day one structures within the campus of the university like GEO that will fire the imagination of youngsters to go beyond the state of art. Does not mean they would not know what the state of art is. That of course would be cultivated and comprehended by them on rapid track, but each one, no matter whether he comes from undergraduate program, will have the capability to go miles ahead of the state of art. Do this, you will go beyond IITs. This is what I think could have been elaborated. I don't know how GEO has been designed. They are now putting together, of course, a team. I would have really done a lot of homework before putting the GEO on the table and would have mesmerized the government as well as the IITs that I want to go beyond each conceivable institution which I have within my country. Design for Excellence can do it. So I am hoping that GEO would bear the testimony, the faith which has been reposed in it, and will come out victorious in terms of its going ahead of the existing institutions in the country. In my opinion, when Indian Institute of Science was designed, it was designed for eminence right from the day one. Tatas in those days did not think that this is any other institution. They thought here is an institution where knowledge will be cultivated for causing new initiatives and new designs which will serve the interest of our country. And that's why Institute of Science has been, until date, remains ahead of the IITs in respect of level of eminence. So it's possible for a private operator also to do it. After all, Tata was not a government. He was a philanthropist who put his head together to conceive Tata Institute in those days, Tata Institute of Science, which is now Indian Institute of Science. I am assuming Stanford must have thought that way, and I am also assuming that Harvard must have thought that way, MIT must have thought that way. These are all private institutions. Even Amity is thinking that way. When Amity University was put together by the vision of our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, the thought came to the mind, how can I create a university system which can challenge the status quo of the existing higher education system in the country. And the thought came that the major differentiator which we must build in right from the day one in the design of university is to pursue research and innovation not only as a mission but with a passion, with a junoon, with a commitment, with a firm resolve, so that over a short period of time you can accelerate your quest for new knowledge generation and go ahead of many other institutions which we have in the country. And this is where I think the differentiator has been created. At Amity University, Haryana, we are consciously working with a firm commitment and resolve to cause innovations and research in new areas of science and technology with commitment and with passion. And that's where I think new institutions coming in from the private domain must really understand the importance of design for excellence. This must be reflected in your infrastructure. This must be reflected in the way you create the talent pool of your institution, of the student community as well as the faculty community. This must be reflected in the caring management which you put together and the layers of governance of the institution which promote excellence, which promote inquiry, which promote innovations, which promote in fact autonomy of thought within the four walls of the institutions. And if that is done, then surely it's possible to have institution designed for excellence. Let GEO become another Tata Institute, what the difficulty, but let there be a commitment and firm resolve to do it.